Line, left field, and deep, and gone!
Well, there you go, Nelson Velazquez. Fastball inside, just brings those hands in and absolutely delivers the power shot that the Royals have been waiting for off of his bat.
Nelson Velazquez, a 3-run home run in the 7th inning to put the Royals up 3-1. They're trailing 1-0 through 6 innings, and the offense was struggling a bit there, but Velazquez gets that home run as the Royals again take a 3-1 lead. They go on to win 4-2 over the Mariners on Tuesday night, and we'll have much more on that coming up here. Some Royals talk on the Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94. Again, it's brought to you by Keever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. You're there, your home team for fast and friendly auto repair. Find them south of the courthouse there in Beloit. Keever Brothers Automotive. Big thanks to them for being the sponsor on our Sports Ticket here on Katy Country 94. Coming up here on the Sports Ticket, we'll catch some local notes for you with regional softball and baseball, and also the KBCA All-Star selections are out. Regional track and field's coming up tomorrow. We'll be joined by Drew Duskie, who's resigning as the head coach of the Lakeside football team, and Denyse Kattenberg, the new head volleyball coach at Smith Center. Also look at the NBA playoffs. The Timberwolves, as I feared, are in a tough spot now after winning the first 2 games of their series on the road. We'll talk about that. Another big night from Jalen Brunson. Caitlin Clark makes her debut in the WNBA. I want to touch a little bit upon that, as I did actually watch most of the first half of that game anyway, just to kind of be part of history and see it happen. And then the NHL playoffs rolling on Tuesday night as well. So it's all coming up here on the Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94. We're going to focus first on local sports, where the Beloit Lady Trojans ended up losing in the semifinals of the 3A regional softball tournament there in Hoisington on Tuesday, I should say. Southeast Saline beat Ellsworth in the first semifinal 10-3, and then Beloit falling 3-2 to Hoisington Central Plains there in the second semifinal. So the Lady Trojans finished their year at 17-8 with that loss. We talked with Shauna Remus yesterday on the Sports Ticket, and she definitely expected a battle there with Hoisington Central Plains, and just kind of got the vibe. You don't talk to a coach and ask what a score prediction might be, but it felt like the vibe was that it could be a very low-scoring, close game, and whoever made the right plays down the stretch and in the moments, we're going to get the win. And Hoisington jumped out to an early 3-0 lead. And they held on for the 3-2 win. So kind of went as I might have expected, just based on my conversation with Coach Remus yesterday, the co-head coach of the Beloit Lady Trojan softball team. Again, they finished their year at 17-8. The championship, Southeast of Saline, moved on to the state tournament, winning in the championship game over Hoisington Central Plains. Another low-scoring affair, and Southeast wins that one 2-0. They are 21-2 on the season, have a 12-game winning streak headed into the 3A state tournament. So that was a tournament there, the Hoisington 3A regional, where you felt like 1, 2, and 3 were probably head and shoulders above the rest of the teams. It just kind of depended on how everything went. Southeast, obviously the number 1 seed, was the hottest team going in. Had a 9-game winning streak going into the regional. 3 more wins to add to that, and everything kind of went the way it should have on the bracket, except for Ellsworth is actually a 5 seed, beating Minneapolis in the first round, who was the 4 seed. But other than that, pretty much stayed true to the seeds there in the 3A regional softball tournament there in Hoisington. A great bid on Monday, Hoisington yesterday for the semis and finals, and Southeast Saline, the number 1 seed, goes through to the state tournament. Now, that was not the case in the 3A baseball regional that Marysville was hosting. This was kind of a wild tournament because they opted not to do home site games for all the first round higher seeds, and that was last Thursday when this tournament started with the regional first round games. The top 2 on the bracket, the top 2 games there were Ellsworth, who had the number 1 seed, so they were rewarded for getting the number 1 seed, and then the other 2 games were at the original host Marysville last Thursday. Well, rain came in and things happened, and the semis and finals yesterday actually got moved to Concordia. So Marysville didn't even get they got to host their game when they were the 6 seed playing the 3 seed. A game that most would argue they shouldn't have been able to host, but again, with the way the umpire situation is and the shortage of those, they kind of condensed everything to 2 sites there for the first round. So Marysville got to host that, and then as the host school, they didn't even get to play on their home field in the next 2 games. And you would think, well, maybe that'll be a neutralizer for Marysville since they're not on their home field. It was not. Marysville is headed to state as the number 6 seed in that 3A regional as Ellsworth knocked out Southeast Saline. Ellsworth, the number 1 seed, a 12-2 win. Marysville beat the 3rd seed Beloit last Thursday. They beat the number 2 seed Nemaha Central in the semis 10-5 yesterday. And then in the championship yesterday, they did beat the number 1 seed Ellsworth 9-4. So Marysville beats 3-2-1 in that order to make it to the state tournament in Class 3A, despite not having those games ending up being on their home field there yesterday. They were at Doyen Field in Concordia. So Marysville moving on to the state tournament in Class 3A baseball. You can find the full baseball and softball brackets at ncksports.com. Also, you can find the regional golf results from all the events that took place here on Monday and yesterday. I do also want to note that Concordia is taking their team to state in 4A golf as they finished in 3rd place yesterday. Luke Donovan was the top competitor for Concordia in a tie for 13th of the 78. Cash Fultz won the Clay Center Regional in Class 4A from Wamego, 70. Tied with Spencer Hecht of Wamego, actually is 70 as well. So Wamego did win the team title with 284. That was 30 strokes better than Clay Center in second at 314, and Concordia was 2 strokes behind that in third at 316. So just a note there of Concordia as far as their golf team was concerned, qualifying their entire boys golf team for state. Also, Concordia baseball and softball saw their seasons come to a close yesterday. The Concordia softball team losing in the semis of the 4A tournament at Scott City 12-4, and the Concordia baseball team losing in the semis in 4A baseball at Pratt 11-4. So Concordia seeing their seasons come to a close, baseball and softball yesterday. All right, moving on here. Also, late last night, the Kansas Basketball Coaches Association announced their selections for the annual All-Star Games coming up in June. It'll be June 22nd at Kansas Wesleyan University in Salina. Smith Center's Dakota Kattenberg and Beloit's Bryce Beisner were both selected to play from the immediate area in that game. Also, Will Cravens from Ellsworth was picked to play in the boys contest, and those are the selections. Sometimes they can't all make it, so I always say selections right at the start. There could be a situation that would come up late that they would have somebody that can't make it because maybe they're enrolled and starting practices, or if they're a Division I player, sometimes the coaches don't want them to play in that All-Star game. If they're going to the next level, there are certain things that could hinder some of that. So there's a possibility that players could get moved to different teams to level and even everything out. But again, those are the selections, and we have 3 from the area that have been picked, 2 from the immediate area. Again, Smith Center's Dakota Kattenberg, Beloit's Bryce Beisner, and again, Will Cravens of Ellsworth on the boys' side in the KBCA. Also, Smith Center coach Nick Lynn will be given the Don Jones Courage Award, and kind of reading a little bit about that. It's basically he's getting that award. I don't want to say it's a year late, but it is because of the fact that he had that health scare during the basketball season in 2022-23 and ended up missing the back half of that, almost half of that season. Anyway, the league tournament moving forward, he was back on the bench there late in sub-state. Wasn't necessarily coaching there in 2023 as Denyse Kattenberg filled in an interim role there for him, and more on her coming up here in the Sports Ticket. But Nick Lynn, battled through that, his health scare, and came back and coached the volleyball team and girls basketball team again this year, his final year as well documented, 35 years at Smith Center. And for his return to the sideline after that health scare, he's being honored with the Don Jones Courage Award at the KBCA All-Star Games coming up on June 22nd, Mabee Arena on the campus of Kansas Wesleyan University in Salina. So there's your KBA update. The All-Star selections and full look at the awards can be found at ncksports.com. All right, moving on with local sports. It's been a busy spring as far as coaching changes and coaches resigning, new coaches coming in. It's hard to keep up with all the actual activity that's going on in the field. And in the court, or on the court, or in the field, on the track, whatever it may be, on the baseball, softball fields, whatever it is. It's been hard to keep up with all that that's going on live, and also keep up with all the coaching changes that we've seen. So we're doing our best here to cover as much of that as we can. Some of it slips through the cracks just because there's a lot of it right now. We mentioned that a lot of the coaches in NCAA boys basketball had to resign, and there'll be new coaches there. And all but 2 had resigned, so 4 out of the 6 there in the NCAA boys side anyway. And we got word early this week that another resignation had taken place. Drew Duskie is resigning as the head coach of the Lakeside football team. We're going to talk with Drew Duskie here momentarily. The main reason I wanted to talk to Drew was to let him just tell everybody himself that he's not leaving everything. It's not like he's giving up all of his jobs and walking out in the sunset and fading off there from Lakeside. He's still teaching there. He's still going to be the boys basketball coach. He's still going to be the athletic director. Drew will also, it sounds like in line, this is not official and approved at the moment yet, but it seems to be, and you'll hear him talk about it, in line to be the track and field head coach next year. He's been an assistant coach this year for track and field as well for Lakeside. So Drew's got a lot on his plate. He steps up and does a lot for that school, and he kind of wants a season off, which you're going to hear from him again coming up momentarily, and he'll give his reasons. But I wanted to make sure I talked with him to make sure everybody knew that this is just for football that he's resigning from. So coached 10 seasons at Lakeside. Duskie compiled the 38-53 record. Early in his tenure, had some young and inexperienced players, but the Knights did find some success over the past 5 seasons, posting a winning record in each of those seasons from 2019 to 2023, compiling a 27-18 mark in that time. And this past season, the Knights went 6-3. So we'll hear from Drew Duskie coming up momentarily here on the Sports Ticket. Also, we're going to hear from Denyse Kattenberg of Smith Center. She's been named the new volleyball head coach, again with Nick Lynn retiring after 35 years as volleyball and girls basketball coach at Smith Center. They had vacancies. Denyse Kattenberg will fill that vacancy. She's been off and on coaching with Coach Lynn for the last, since 2002. Since 2004 at Smith Center. She did have a couple years there where she was junior high basketball and assistant volleyball coach at Eastern Heights when they were still a school from 2002 to 2004, and then she returned home, Smith Center, her alma mater in hometown, returned home there in 2004. Did take a 4-year break in between all that at one point right after they had won the state championship in basketball, then came back to coach in 2017, a junior high coach for a year, and then rejoined Nick Lynn's staff in basketball and volleyball as well. Until the present, and now she's a new head volleyball coach there for Smith Center. We're going to chat with her about her excitement of being the new head volleyball coach for the Lady Red. Also, basketball coach opening filled at Smith Center. Brandon Raby will be the next head coach for the Smith Center Lady Red basketball team. This is Denyse Kattenberg's first head coaching job at the high school level, and it also is Brandon Raby's first head coaching job at the high school level. We're hoping to talk to Brandon at some point this week as well, get an interview with him and hear his thoughts about taking over the Lady Red basketball program. Brandon's been coaching the junior high Lady Red program for several years here, and does have that experience under his belt. So it's one of those deals where you kind of keep it in the family, keep it in town, and the people that know what Smith Center is about, what the programs are about, and I think that's one of the fun things about Smith Center is everybody buys into a lot of what they do there, and it's a transition. We've seen it in football, right? With Roger Barta to Darren Sass to Mike Rogers. We see it now in girls volleyball with Nick Lynn to Denyse Kattenberg. We see it now in girls basketball with Nick Lynn to Brandon Raby. These people are there in Smith Center. They're rooted, and those are the ones that are leading those programs. And I think it's a good dynamic to have in my eyes. Sometimes you might want fresh flavor from the outside, whatever that might be. But if you've got a tradition established and people that understand what that tradition is and then can move forward with it, these are the type of people that you also want following some of the best, or it's just some of your own people that understand what the legends like Nick Lynn and Roger Barta put into the programs in the past. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. But Denyse Kattenberg, again, the new head volleyball coach at Smith Center, and the new head basketball coach on the girls' side is Brandon Raby. for Smith Center. So we're going to talk with Denyse coming up later. Again, Drew Duskie resigning his football post at Lakeside, and we're going to hear from Drew now, and he'll chat about why he's resigning from football but still sticking around in other sports. And welcome back here, a special edition of the Sports Ticket, as we're joined by Drew Duskie from Lakeside High School, the coach of the boys basketball team and athletic director right now, as Drew has resigned as the head football coach for the Lakeside Knights. Coach, the main reason I'm doing this interview with you today is so you can make sure that everybody realizes that you're not going anywhere. You're still going to be the basketball coach, the athletic director, but as you made this decision to resign as the football coach, what went into that thought process, and how tough is it to step away from that sport after doing it for 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I kind of mulled it over for a long time and had multiple discussions with my wife about it. And I tell you what, I went back and forth for a long time. And it was just, it just came down to trying to be at home just a little bit more. My 3 kids are getting older, and I told some of those junior boys that are going to be seniors next year as the football players, I've spent more time with you than I have my kids. I mean, throughout the school year. And I laugh about it, but it's almost true. I mean, with football and basketball and everything else, I've spent a lot of time with those boys, and it was tough to give it up, but it was the best decision for my family and for me. But I'll still be there doing everything else that I was doing, and I'll still be there at all the games, cheering them on as AD. But just taking a step back and trying to spend a little more time at home.
Had 10 seasons there, and when I say your record, it's not going to sound like overly great at 38-53, but you guys put together 5 straight winning seasons here in the last 5 years. At a 27-18 mark there, 6-3 last year. I know you're leaving a program for whoever does become the next coach with not a bare cupboard. There's some kids that are coming back that are going to be pretty solid, right?
Yeah, we got a good senior class coming up next year, and those first few years it was tough. We had some tough years to get through when I started, and I thought we ended the last few years as a pretty decent football team. And I tried to explain to the boys when I told them that I was resigning too, that I didn't want to leave whoever's taking it over with like you said, a bare cupboard, and with our senior boys coming back, I think the next head coach is going to have a good group to work with and to get them started off right. So it just felt like this was the right time to do it.
I know you're working with the Tracksters here during the spring as well. What's the schedule look like now for you as you can take football off as you get ready for another school year?
Yeah, so I'll, nothing in the fall other than going to some football games, and then, I still got basketball, and the plan is for me to take over as head track coach. So, I'll still be busy, but, just being able to take one of those seasons off and be able to be at home a little bit more, I think is might make me a happier person, and I know it's going to make my wife probably a happier person. So.
Drew Duskie, we certainly thank you for all the time during football season over the last 10 years, and we'll look forward to chatting with you as you move forward with basketball and track and field, and we'll keep in touch, no doubt. There's no way to avoid it over there at Lakeside with you. So thanks for taking some time to talk about your time in football, and we wish you the best of luck as you keep doing the other things.
Hey, I appreciate it, Dusty. I appreciate all the coverage you've given us over the years and continue to give us, and I enjoyed our locker room chats, and I'll miss those, but I know it won't be long till basketball season rolls around, and we'll be talking again. So, go hold on.
Yeah, Drew Duskie, again, thanks to him for joining us here today on Waterside, or on the Sports Ticket, I should say, on Katy Country 94, brought to you by Kiever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. As I mentioned, Drew is, and you heard there at the end, Drew sticking around to be the basketball coach, boys basketball, head track and field likely, and also staying as the athletic director over there in Downs at Lakeside High School. So, yeah, I mean, talking with a lot of the people that are making these decisions to either step away or take on a little bit less here than what they've been doing is there's a family reason for that, and there's a lot that goes into those decisions, and obviously, as you heard from Coach Duskie, it was not an easy decision for him to make to decide to resign from his football job and move on, but it is one of those things. You got so many kids, and it's like Drew says, you joke about it, but you're telling the kids, hey, if you're coaching for 3 seasons, it's like, I'm spending more time with you guys than I am my own kids. That was a comment that really stood out to me in that interview with Coach Duskie. And listen, I commend all the coaches that put the time and effort into coach kids, because it's a lot of times it's thankless, and I don't want to say always, because I think there's a very large group of people that are very appreciative and thank these coaches for everything that they do. But there are times when you get second guessed with the decisions that you make or whatever that might be. And people like Drew Duskie that are coaching 3 sports throughout the season, and he's just one example of a lot of coaches at this level of school in Class 1A or even 2A that are taking on so much at a school. And I'm not even just talking coaching, I'm talking teaching. Drew's an athletic director as well, and just taking on so many roles and jobs and titles, and probably only getting paid for one of those titles the way they should be. And then it's just, supplemental income on the other things that they do. And it's a lot, and there's a lot of time and effort that goes into preparing and doing those things. I think one thing that I don't want to go in too deep and say anything I shouldn't, but I think there's some schools that don't understand that you're paying a person for their time, not only in practice but on the court, or if it's basketball, or on the field in football, but you also need to be compensating them for the extra time that they're spending preparing your team to have success. Because these coaches, it's like us on a radio. If I'm doing a morning show, or if I'm doing a play-by-play broadcast, I'm putting effort and time into preparing for that. I'm not just doing the job at the moment that you think I'm doing the job, or at the moment that I'm live on the air. These coaches aren't just doing their job at the moment they're in the gym or on the field at practice and for games and competitions. If you're doing it right, you're thinking about this. You're watching film. You're scouting. You're putting together game plans. It's way more commitment than what I think people even try to want to understand and realize if you're doing it right. And let's just say I know there are some schools that aren't compensating that part of it for sure. But I'm not saying that's the school's fault either. There could be budget constraints, obviously, that don't allow them to do that. But these coaches are taking a lot of time, is what I'm trying to say. And Drew Duskie's a perfect example of that. And again, we thank him for his time today and throughout all the years with Football Locker Room Chats. But again, he's sticking around for basketball, so we'll see how that goes for him coming up in the winter. Again, shifting over to Smith Center, Lady Red. Again, Denyse Kattenberg, the new volleyball head coach, is filling in for Nick Lynn, and the new basketball head coach on the girls' side is Brandon Raby there at Smith Center. As I mentioned moments ago, we do expect to talk with Coach Raby at some point this week, but we did get together with Denyse Kattenberg, who's always been a big help to me with Lady Red info, and obviously knows a lot about the volleyball program, and she chats about taking over as the head coach after being a longtime assistant. We'll hear from Denyse now. And welcome back here on Katy Country 94 Sports Ticket Special, as we're joined by Denyse Kattenberg, the new head volleyball coach for the Smith Center Lady Red, taking over for longtime coach Nick Lynn, which, Denyse, first of all, thanks for taking some time to join us here. Obviously, this is kind of a different interview, because I actually have talked to you in the past when you were filling in for Nick during basketball season when he had his health scare there. But, I'm not talking to somebody that's taking over a new program that they don't know a lot about. You've spent a lot of time in equity with the Lady Red volleyball program and have a chance now to be the leader of that program. First of all, how excited are you to take over as the coach, the head coach, and lead this program into the future?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I actually have different levels. Like, I get really excited, and then I kind of panic a little bit of scared, like, how in the world am I going to do this without Nick? And then I realize that, like, I can do this, and I don't think he'll be far away if I ever have a question or need help. But I'm just really excited to start, keep going in a program that is so near and dear to my heart.
I know, looking at your Facebook posts and everything, that you spent a lot of time with Nick, but you didn't always get along and agree with everything, right? So just moving forward, what do you take from your time with Coach Lynn, what you learned from him, and then kind of how do you approach the next steps as far as how you might want to mold the program yourself?
I think it's so funny. Like, I'm not a yes man, so that's why I think that Nick and I worked so well together. It's like I would give my opinion, and sometimes we just did that heatedly in the moment, but like we care, we both care and respect each other so much, So it was just, I think that I'm really going to remember everything that he has taught me over all of these years, try to find a different way to incorporate that into a new style, but still keep the same, of course, like traditions and mindset of this is how the Lady program was built, and this is what we're going to continue to do. So I'm excited to continue many things, but I'm also excited to start maybe a couple new things that will put a new stamp on what I'm going to do there.
You've coached for 20 years. You had 2 years at Eastern Heights before moving back to Smith Centers. You were a graduate of Smith Center High School and played for Coach Lynn as well. So just over your coaching time, what are some of the biggest key takeaways that you've had, and what are some of the, I don't know, philosophy is the right question here, but the things that you'll take into that head coaching role?
I've thought a lot about my philosophy, and I guess what the main thing is I just really want these kids to feel like we're a family, and that we're, no matter what, we're going to stick together. We're going to stay behind each other. We always have each other to lean on, and that I just really want to build a tradition that they can always come back to. I think it's great when I'm still get invited to weddings and baby showers. I just want them to realize that it's much more than a game. We're a family, and we're going to always be there and care for each other.
It's funny you bring up family because, one of the things that I've noticed just on the outside looking in of covering Smith Center sports and especially the Lady Red is that there is a family atmosphere around everything that you do. And you, in fact, actually had family around you the last 4 years, coaching your daughter as an assistant coach. And moving forward, though, you don't have that. But also moving forward, you're going to focus on some family and step away from the basketball side of things as well, right?
Right. Dominic is a wrestler, so we're going to start. And that's going to be my focus on Friday nights now on the weekends, and it's been so much fun coaching Dakota. It's been really hard, but it's been really rewarding at the same time. And I'm my kids come first, and everybody knows that. So I'm really excited to be able to focus on him too for the next 3 years as he continues in that winter sport. So family is so important to me, and I hope that I can, that trickles down into my team.
Denyse Kattenberg, the new head coach of the Smith Center Lady Red volleyball program. Coach, we certainly thank you for taking the time. You've helped me tremendously already over the past years with anything that I might need about the Lady Red, and so I'm excited for you, excited to work with you as a head coach as well, and best of luck moving forward here. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you for everything you do for the Lady Red. Denyse Kattenberg, head coach of the volleyball team at Smith Center, now filling in for Nick Lynn, again, who retired after 35 seasons. Again, Brandon Raby will be the girls basketball head coach, and we hope to chat with him later this week, as we mentioned. Sports Ticket brought to you by Kiever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. We're going to recap Royals real quick, and then we'll take a break here and come back with the NBA playoffs. Caitlin Clark making her debut, and the WNBA and the NHL playoffs, and some news coming down in the NFL on the scheduling side of things. And oh boy, Chiefs fans are going to be excited about this news that I bring to you here on the Sports Ticket. Again, the Royals last night do win 4-2 over the Mariners. Nelson Velazquez with a 3-run home run at the top of the seventh, his third homer of the season, and that made it 3-1. They go on to win it 4-2. Michael Wacha had 6 innings, allowed 1 run, 3 hits, and moved to 3-4 on the season with the win. James MacArthur came in, surrendered a home run, but still got save number 10 there on Tuesday night for the Royals, and pitching was what helped them get that win, and the one swing of the bat from Nelson Velazquez. We'll talk about him here in a couple moments, but this is Matt Quatrero on Michael Wacha's performance last night.
His stuff was good today. He threw, the slider was better, and he's been working on that. His velo was up early. He got the ball up above the zone when he needed to. He got the ball down, and his changeup was good like usual.
So, short cut to the chase right there, Royals manager Matt Quatrero about Michael Wacha and his performance last night. Looking at the Royals, and we heard the cut at the beginning of the Sports Ticket there on the home run by Velazquez, and Ryan Lefebvre called the homer, and Mike Swinney's actually doing the color commentary right now because Rex Hudler's back home with his family with some, I think his dad, has some medical things going on, so Rex has kind of been away from it on the TV side of things. But Mike Swinney had mentioned there that finally getting the swing on the bat from that they've been looking for from Nelson Velazquez's bat. They traded for him last year, later in the season, from the Cubs, and you could tell that he had power from the plate. It was very evident. He hit 14 home runs in 40 games with the Royals after being traded from the Cubs last season. So coming into this year, you're expecting him to be a power hitter and a big important part of the offense for the Royals. And not to say that he hasn't done that at all this year, but the power numbers are definitely down compared to what he had last year. I said 14 home runs in 40 games. He's played in 38 games this year for the Royals. and has just 3 home runs. So the power has definitely gone down for Nelson Velazquez. We're looking for him to improve as the season goes, and if he can do that, then that helps tremendously with the Royals offense on a team that's really playing very, very well and definitely ahead of schedule and where I expected them to be, where most people expected them to be at this point of the season. Velazquez hitting .227 again, 3 homers in 38 games this year for the Royals, and they're looking for a little bit more power production from him, and maybe that can be something that can vault him and get him more confidence moving forward with the Royals. They are 26-18 after that win last night. The Mariners are 23-20 with the loss, and looking at the standings in Major League Baseball, I kind of like to look at this because the Royals are close to the top with every win that they get. The Twins lost, so they didn't move ahead of the Twins to take over second place on their own, but the Guardians won last night as well, so the Royals still a game and a half behind Cleveland for first place there in the AL Central. The AL West, the Mariners are still a game and a half ahead of the Rangers at 23-20. The Royals and Rangers will finish their 3-game set this afternoon. It's a 3:10 first pitch for Kansas City, as taking the mound for the Royals is Alec Marsh. He's 3-0 with a 2.53 ERA here this season, taking on Brian Wu, who has pitched 4 1/3 and given up no runs, just 1 hit. He's 0-0 with a 0 ERA. So far here this season in very limited action for the Mariners. Once again, the Royals winning 4-2, and they'll finish out their series this afternoon at 3:10 in Seattle. More coming your way here on the Sports Ticket. The NBA Playoffs. Caitlin Clark making her WNBA debut in the NHL Playoffs. We'll cover it all after this break on Katy Country 94. Sports Ticket brought to you by Kiever Brothers Automotive in Beloit.
Does your vehicle have a leak, squeak, or rattle? Is there an annoying warning light shining at you from the dash? I'm Elijah at Kiever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. If you have an automotive issue, don't just live with it because you're afraid of what it might cost to get it fixed. We offer a 15-minute no-wrench inspection for free, so you can get a professional opinion about your problem without spending a dime. Call or stop by today. We're happy to take a look at almost anything for free. That's Kiever Brothers Automotive just south of the courthouse in Beloit and online at KieverBrothers.com.
1 win away for Denver as they defend their championship. They beat the Timberwolves at home in Game 5, 112-97.
Nikola Jokic with an outstanding MVP performance. We always say that the Game 5s, the moniker that you get on that is pivotal Game 5, right? And they're important. When you can win that game and put yourself in a position where you only have to win one more game moving forward to win a series. And the Nuggets got an absolute MVP-like performance from the 3-time MVP and this year's MVP, Nikola Jokic. 40.13 assists, double-double. He also had 7 rebounds and 0 turnovers in the game, as the Nuggets again win at 112-97 over the Timberwolves, as you heard. And Denver has now won 3 consecutive games in this series. Something I talked about yesterday. I do feel for the Timberwolves fans because they're sitting here after winning 2 games in Denver to start this series and feeling real good about themselves going back home. And like I said yesterday, that moniker also is always that it's not a series until the road team wins. And the road team won both of the first 2 games in this series. Up 2-0 for the Timberwolves and feeling good, and Anthony Edwards is playing out of his mind in some of those games and just super impressive. And you're thinking, man, the defending champions are absolutely on the ropes right now. And what happens? Denver goes in, wins 2 in Minnesota to tie the series at 2 apiece. And then I said yesterday here on this show, I expect Denver to win tonight, which I said yesterday, which had been last night, and they did that, 112-97. And I also expect Denver to go into Minnesota and win. I mean, the wheels can fall off fast, and when you're riding that high so high, and then you get taken down a peg, losing both of those games at home when you had an opportunity to go up 3-1 and be able to seal it with just 1 win the rest of the series in the next 3 games that you had to get. Now you got to get 2 wins in 3 games to win this series because you've given back home court advantage, and the Nuggets finally took advantage of that actual wording, right? Home court advantage, and the Nuggets took advantage of it winning last night 112-97 to take a 3-2 lead in the series. Again, Jokic was outstanding, 40 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds, 0 turnovers. Anthony Edwards, who's been averaging over 30 in the playoffs, was held to just 18 points last night. And it's like, 18 points for a normal person is like, good game. But Edwards has been so good at times, and the Nuggets were able to slow him down last night. Again, he finishes with just 18, and the Nuggets have a 3-2 lead in the series. Now, in the other game last night in the Eastern Conference, I also said yesterday I expect Jalen Brunson to have another big game with a series tied at 2 each between the Knicks and Pacers, and boy, I was not wrong about that either. I've been wrong a lot during the postseason in my predictions here in the NBA playoffs and who's going to win games, but yesterday I did pick the Nuggets and the Knicks to win, and specifically said that Jalen Brunson probably have another big game, and did he ever? 44 points and was 18 of 35 from the floor. It's another 40-point game for Brunson. 4 out of the 11 playoff games that the Knicks have played, he has scored 40 or more points and has just been outstanding for New York here in the postseason. Now, sometimes if you're scoring that much, that means the ball's not going to other players, and you're not getting as many touches for them, and maybe they're letting you have yours, the opponent, and then they're taking away the other players on the team. But that was not the case last night. 44 points, and the Knicks roll to a 30-point win, 121-91 over the Pacers to take a 3-2 lead in that series as it goes back to Indiana. So again, those pivotal, quote, Game 5s go to the home teams and the higher seeds as the Nuggets and Knicks both win last night. Jalen Brunson has been unbelievably outstanding here in the postseason for New York. Tonight there are 2 games on the docket as in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Celtics are back at home. They're up 3-1 on the Cavaliers. They won 2 games in Cleveland after losing Game 2 in Boston, and they're back at Boston for Game 5 at 6 o'clock tonight on TNT. I'm expecting the Celtics to wrap it up tonight. This is the only series right now that's going on that it feels like there's just a clear team that's head and shoulders above the other at the moment, and that's the Celtics and Cavaliers. Cleveland, they played well and they were ready to go there in Game 2 in Boston, but they've, again, lost 2 in a row now at home and have to go back on the road. Game 5 tonight, I'm picking the Celtics to beat the Cavaliers. In the West semifinals, the Thunder and Mavericks tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 is at 8:30 in Oklahoma City. Again, as we talk about, pivotal Game 5 with the 2 series tied at 2 apiece. Oklahoma City had a very, very good start rolling through that first-round series, and the Mavericks were able to take one in Oklahoma City, go back to Dallas. They went up 2-1, but the Thunder won Game 4 in Dallas to tie the series back up at 2 and reclaim home court advantage. And this one's not as easy for me to say, Oklahoma City's going to win tonight, like it felt for Denver last night, because the urgency and where they were at and the momentum that they built up now in this series for Denver. Oklahoma City, still a young team trying to figure all that out, even though they were the number 1 seed. And so, there's times where they're going to have to go through some battles. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's obviously been outstanding for this Thunder team and throughout the season, and expect that in the playoffs, and he's done some great things here in the postseason as well for the Thunder, a young and up-and-coming group that got the number 1 seed, and here's where you go out and earn everything that you have postured yourself for going into the postseason to get that number 1 seed. So it'll be interesting to see tonight. I'm going to pick the Thunder to win tonight. Expect it to be another close game. These games have been pretty fun in the Thunder-Mavericks series, and I don't expect anything really less than that here tonight from Oklahoma City and Dallas. Again, expecting another tight one, and we'll see how it comes out. These games have been, the Thunder kind of rolled in Game 1, but the Mavericks won Game 2 by 9, and Game 3 by 4. The Thunder won Game 4 by 4. So, again, we've had a lot of close games in this series, and they come down to the wire. Again, I'll pick Oklahoma City tonight to take a 3-2 lead in that series. We stay in women's basketball here on the Sports Ticket. Or we stay in basketball with women's basketball.
And now Clark comes with a steal. Clark thought about pulling up from 3, will dip inside and lay it in. There are the first points in the WNBA career of Caitlin Clark.
It took a while for Caitlin Clark to get her first WNBA points, official WNBA points. She did have some points in the preseason games that the Indiana Fever played, but the number 1 pick in the draft. I tell you what, when a tip-off happened and there was a bad toss, so it didn't count. They had to redo it. Tip-off happens, and it's tipped right into Caitlin Clark's hands, and everybody's like, oh, this is exactly how this season should start, right? The number one pick and all the hype around Caitlin Clark. She gets the tip, and we are off. And Caitlin Clark was not off. Well, she was off, but she was not off in a sense of going off and scoring a lot of points early in the game. She was a little bit off. I wanted to watch at least the first quarter half of this game just to see, because there was a lot of other stuff on last night that I was trying to balance and some other things that I was trying to do as well. But, with intent, wanted to watch at least the first quarter of this game to see how Caitlin Clark would do. And the returns were not great after one quarter. She had no points, 2 fouls. She came out a little over halfway through the first quarter with her second foul, and then did come back out to start she actually came back out for the final play of the first quarter because Indiana had the ball, and maybe they were looking for a shot there at the end of the quarter, but they didn't get. But she did come back out in the second quarter and got what you heard right there, the steal and the layup, and got her first WNBA points of her career. There's a lot of hype around Caitlin Clark right now. It's warranted. It's justified. It was earned by her with what she did in college, being the all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I basketball history, men's or women's. She earned it. She earned the number one pick. She got the number one pick. I'm going to talk a little bit here momentarily about just the social media aspect of this and what people say when all the hype is around somebody and then they move on to the next level. It's a media-generated hype, and it's a media-generated animosity towards people because the media generated it. It doesn't even have anything to do with the people that are actually playing and participating. We're going to talk about that here just a little bit. But the final line for Caitlin Clark, she had 20 points, which was a game high. So she did settle in a little bit, ended up getting some points, ended up scoring 20 points in the game. But, and I don't know who does this research, but they say it was for a WNBA debut, the most turnovers by a player in history. She had 10 turnovers and shot just 5 of 15 from the floor to get her 20 points. She was 4 of 11 from 3. She did play a team-high 32 minutes for the Indiana Fever, who lost 92-71 at Connecticut against the Sun. It's funny when I'm watching the start of the game, and they're like, this is the first sold-out game for the Connecticut Sun for their team since 2000. I think he said 2003, and Rebecca Lobo was the analyst, and she's like, yeah, that was the first game ever that they played in the WNBA. So that was the first time they sold out. This is the second time, and it's funny the way you can finagle the way you say things. This arena was sold out because of Caitlin Clark, and that's what's going to be interesting, I think, about the WNBA this year is people are buying these tickets and going to these games to watch Caitlin Clark play for the Indiana Fever. So a lot of these games for the home teams, if the Fever are on the road, are not even going to feel like home games. But there's going to be so many Caitlin Clark fans in the stands that are watching what she's doing. Again, transcending what women's sports has ever been in the past. Caitlin Clark is that person. And so all eyes are on her now, right? Everything that she's done in college, leading Iowa to 2 straight national championship games when most people would probably say Iowa has no business being in the national championship, and they probably wouldn't have without Caitlin Clark being on their team. I don't say probably. I'm going to say they wouldn't have been in the national championship game without Caitlin Clark. That's a safe thing to say. I don't deal in hypotheticals hardly ever in my life, but that's a very, very safe hypothetical that Iowa would not have been to 2 national championships in a row without Caitlin Clark. It's obvious. And so all that hype is around her, and you could tell, I could see it early in the game. Like she was pressing a little bit. She was forcing some shots that might not have been great, which she did that in college at Iowa. Like, people are talking about sometimes when she would pull up for 3 from like 6 feet behind the line. I don't know about that shot selection. I think she's forcing a little bit. Have you seen her play? Because she does that all the time. Her range is past half court. She's in range. Even probably on the other side of half court if you really analyzed it and looked at what she can do. But so I don't want to get stuck and caught in a trap of, Caitlin Clark forced too many shots and she's not playing within the offense. But one of the things that I did notice last night is she was pressing, looking for those first points in the WNBA in her career. It did look like she had some of those first game jitters as far as an actual regular season and true WNBA debut, and you could see that. But the thing that drives me nuts is I'm looking, and she scored 20 points and had a game high. And I think like so many people, because she had 10 turnovers and her team lost by 21 points, which was a team that still needs to learn how to play together. Katie Lou Samuelson came over. She's in the starting lineup. Didn't even play last year because she had a kid. And then Aaliyah Boston's in her second year with the with the Indiana Fever, who lost to the Connecticut Sun last night. So everybody talks about it. It is cool. It's going to be fun to see Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston play on the same team. I feel like once they get in the group, but they've got to learn how to play together still. You can't just come in here against a team that won like 70% of their games or whatever it was last year in the Connecticut Sun. This is a good team that they were playing to start the season, Indiana. You can't just like come in here and expect that they're just going to go out there. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are going to blow this team out. But the comments on social, on Facebook, and these people don't mean anything, but the thing that drives me more nuts about these comments specifically about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA is there's so many people that are like, oh, she's not playing in college anymore. This is a grown woman's league. Dude, and it's all dudes. Dude, it's all guys. Dude, when was the last time you watched a WNBA game to tell me that these are grown women playing out here? You are not watching the WNBA. You've not watched it. I can guarantee you at least 89 to 95% of the people, I'm making up numbers, but it's a very astronomical high number of the comments that were made about Caitlin Clark on a post that I saw on Facebook are probably coming from people that have never seen a WNBA game in their life, maybe not even seen a college basketball game until this year when Caitlin Clark played because they wanted to see what the hype was about and who she was, and then laughed when she lost in the national championship because that's what these kind of people do, right? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, this is a grown woman's league. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know. You've never seen the WNBA. Highly unlikely that you've watched it and paid attention to it. I don't watch the WNBA all the time, but I can actually tell people if they ask me, have you watched the WNBA game? Have you seen some full games in the last 5 years? I actually have, because Becky Hammond, who coaches the Las Vegas Aces, is a coach that I obviously am following because she used to be on the staff of my favorite NBA team, the Spurs, and she's gone on to Las Vegas and promptly won 2 straight WNBA titles and put a team that's very, very good, which, by the way, they opened the season last night, and everybody's that's an afterthought. The 2-time defending champions, not a whole lot of people care about. They won 89-80 over the Mercury behind 30 points and 13 rebounds from Asia Wilson. They've got Kelsey Plum. Kate Martin from Iowa made the team as well. They're with the Aces. So, yes, if you ask me, have I watched the WNBA? Yes, I have. I've seen Asia Wilson play in an entire game and Kelsey Plum and the Las Vegas Aces because they're fun to watch and they're well coached. And I know that because I've seen Becky Hammond as an assistant coach in the NBA and helping lead the Spurs to some success. So I'm not going to make the comments that these people are making because I've actually seen the WNBA, and I saw Kelsey Plum, and she talked about when she came in, because when she came into the WNBA, she was also the all-time leading scorer in women's history coming in, and, well, behind Lynette Woodard. She was, anyway, but the D1 part of it, right? Since they started keeping track of those numbers, since the other portion, some of Lynette Woodard's wasn't in the NCAA realm. So anyway, my point is Kelsey Plum talked about how she struggled in her rookie year after having an unbelievable college career, averaging a ton of points for Washington. And so you're sitting here and she's talking about she averaged less than 10 points a game in her rookie year after being an all-time leading scorer at the time in women's basketball, one of. And Caitlin Clark's coming in here. Did she struggle? Absolutely. Was she nervous? Did she have the jitters? Pretty much looked like it. But I'm sitting here like, these dudes that are on social media saying, hey, this is a grown woman's league, get out of here, dude. Nobody cares about your opinion. Nobody wants to hear it. Am I the biggest Caitlin Clark fan? Absolutely not. Do I respect what she's done for women's basketball? Absolutely. How can you not? Nobody would be talking about the WNBA. These dudes would not be watching the WNBA unless Caitlin Clark was playing. So miss me with it's a grown woman's league. She's about to get a comeuppance and be brought down to earth. She scored 20 points. Yes, she went 5 of 15. I get it. She didn't shoot well. She had 10 turnovers. Those are things that need to be fixed. Aaliyah Boston had 4 points last night. This is clearly a situation where those two players for sure, and I think Katie Lou Samuelson, if she can get back to where she needs to be, those are the players that are going to have to learn how to play together for Indiana to have success. But again, it's early. This is the first time around for this team to play with each other in an actual setting that mattered, in a game that counted. It didn't go well. They lost 92-71, but I'm just like, come on with the comments about It is a grown woman's league. I'm not here for it. Caitlin Clark, we'll see how she does. I'm not going to cover Caitlin Clark every game that she plays here on the Sports Ticket, but it was a monumental thing last night, making her WNBA debut, and it did not go well for her team. It went mixed for herself as her first game out on the field, or out on the court, I should say, for the Indiana Fever. So there you go. There's your Caitlin Clark debut update.
Here's Draisaitl handing it off to Keene, blocked by Lindholm. Keene colliding with Beloit, getting it to Draisaitl, back to Bouchard.
Yeah, that goal put the Oilers up 3-2 with like 36 seconds left. 38 seconds left. They went on to win by that final over the Canucks to tie the Western Conference semis in the Stanley Cup playoffs at 2 games each. In the East on Tuesday, the Bruins won 2-1 over the Panthers in Florida in Game 5 to move back within 3-2. So there's your hockey update. There's only one game on the schedule tonight in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Stars are hosting the Avalanche in the West semis. Dallas has a chance to win the series and move on to the Western Conference finals as they are out there and competing. At Game 5 at 7 o'clock on ESPN in Dallas. Again, the Stars are up 3-1 on the Avalanche. So there's your update on the NHL. I wish I could tell you more, but I've not. Last night I definitely didn't watch any hockey because there was a lot of other stuff going on with the Royals, NBA playoffs, Caitlin Clark, WNBA debut. Hockey ended up being low on the list for me last night, unfortunately, if you're a hockey fan and trying to get my analysis. But I don't know why a hockey fan would want my analysis on it. Go to NHL.com. You'll find way better analysis than what I can give you about the Stanley Cup playoffs. So that wraps up that portion of the show. I teased going into the break here before we started this part of the show that there's some news with the Kansas City Chiefs. And enter freak-out mode for Chiefs fans in 3, 2, 1. The Kansas City Chiefs, the schedule is going to come out officially tonight, 7 o'clock, NFL Network. We knew 2 games already for the Chiefs. That they're going to open the season at home against the Ravens on September 5th, a Thursday night game. And then on September 15th, a Sunday afternoon primetime game at 3:25. The Chiefs are taking on the Bengals at Arrowhead Stadium. Though we knew that those were the first 2 games. We touched upon this the other day, that the Chiefs, that's interesting. Anyway, I'm reading all this stuff as I'm talking about it because it broke here probably, 30 to 45 minutes ago. This news about the Chiefs' schedule. We talked Monday about the deal that was coming up for Christmas Day games, in which Netflix was going to be live streaming NFL football games. And so this came up, and again, we've warned everybody, told everybody that this is happening. Streaming's here. We saw it with Amazon Prime with Thursday Night Football. We saw it with Peacock, an exclusive regular season game last year, and the exclusive playoff game last year between the Chiefs and Dolphins in the wild card. And Netflix has an early Christmas gift for you, but it won't fit under the tree, is the story here from the AP New York. On December 25th, Netflix will be the global home of the NFL's 2 Christmas Day marquee games. Mark your calendar for Christmas Day 2025 and 26. Netflix will be streaming at least one holiday game each year as part of a 3-season deal that Netflix has reached with the NFL to broadcast or webcast stream the NFL. Why am I mentioning the Chiefs? You know why I'm mentioning the Chiefs. The schedule comes out tonight, and reports are that the Kansas City Chiefs will be playing on Netflix on Christmas Day, hosting, or actually on the road, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, again, I tell everybody, don't act like, if I don't subscribe to Netflix, they're not gonna. This is a terrible idea that they'll scrap if we all get together and don't subscribe. It is a 3-year deal between the NFL and Netflix to broadcast, webcast, stream Christmas Day games. This is where it's going. Wade and I have been talking about this a lot on the Sports Ticket for a lot of years. And so this is where it's going. Chiefs likely, this is not official yet, but sources are saying that the Steelers will host the Chiefs in a Week 17 game on Christmas Day exclusively on Netflix. I've got Netflix. You can get a Netflix ad plan for $6.99. I get it. You don't want to keep adding more to your table. You can subscribe for Netflix in December and cut it, kill it, don't ever do it again if you want to watch this game for $7. That's what it comes down to. And, you know, I look at all this stuff and I see all the comments of people that just listen. Do I like it being on Netflix? I really don't, because I think there's more people that are. You can get so much more out of a Prime membership on Amazon than just watching stuff. So Peacock and Netflix are different in that realm of this. That's what it is. It's to consume video content. If you have Amazon Prime, you can order things off of Amazon Prime, have them delivered. You get a free delivery, things like that. There's a perk that's added, and that's why Amazon Prime costs more, by the way, than Netflix and Peacock to get for a month. But that's just built into something that's so big already in Amazon Prime that you're getting a video, you're getting all the other perks of it. With Netflix and Peacock, you're not getting a lot of other perks, to be completely honest with you. Netflix has a lot of original shows, but they've gotten a little bit better, I think, with maybe popular movies and things like that. But as far as what I watch, most of what I'm seeing on Netflix is their original programming and shows that they produce themselves, Stranger Things, just stuff like that. I don't watch all of it, but they have in the past had like the Breaking Bad's, Walking Dead, things like that are on AMC that you could watch and get into and have fun with. But there's not as much, I would say, on Peacock and Netflix, obviously, and there's more bang for your buck on Amazon Prime for sure. But to say all that, I'm not a huge fan of the streaming thing and these being on separate entities. Now, if one platform like Peacock would come in or Amazon Prime would come in and say, hey, we want all this, we're going to pay for all this, and you only had to go to one place, that'd be great. I think everybody would actually be more apt to be on board with this. But with now 3 different places, with Amazon Prime, Peacock, and now Netflix, putting things on online streams and video streams throughout the world, it's a little bit less fun, I think, as a consumer to be like, oh, well, I got to subscribe to 3 different things. Now, if you only have one team, you don't have to subscribe to all 3 of those things. You can just subscribe. If you want to watch the Chiefs, you can subscribe to Netflix and just do that. I would imagine you're going to have to subscribe to Amazon Prime at one point. I would imagine the Chiefs are going to have a Thursday night football game later in the season that'll be on Prime too. I can't guarantee that. Again, the schedule comes out at 7 o'clock tonight, but it's just like I keep seeing things about this, and I have a comment from actually one of my friends. He says, this is so dumb, plus Christmas is on a Wednesday this year. It is. It's also on a day that nobody's at work. And you don't think the NFL is going to try to capitalize on that, no matter what day of the week it is? They're playing a Friday night game this year in Sao Paulo in the first week of the season. The NFL is beyond caring about what day their games are on. So we can talk about it and say how we don't like it, and this is Christmas on Wednesday this year. Why are you playing a football game on a Wednesday? Because it doesn't matter what day of the week Christmas is. What I don't like about this is not about the fact that it's streaming or anything like that. It's the same old thing that we talk about with the Chiefs every single year. And I saw a post. It's like, for being the team to beat and the face of the league right now, 2 straight championships, back-to-back titles. The NFL does not do the Chiefs any favors with scheduling, and I completely agree with that. How many times have they played on short rest over the last few years? I can't add it up. I could find it and add it up and tell you. I don't have it all right in front of me, but what this means with the Chiefs playing on Christmas Day is they will likely play on Saturday, December 21st. They look likely to be at home on that Saturday, according to Matt Derrick, who we've had from Chiefs Digest. Had him on the show numerous times. And he said by process of elimination, he's assuming it'll be Broncos at Colts and Steelers at Browns on December 21st, and then the Chiefs and Steelers and Browns, Chiefs at Steelers and Browns at Broncos on Christmas Day. So that'd be interesting to see if that is the case. But I mean, that's the thing I don't like about this. Forget the day of the week. Forget that it's streaming. The Chiefs are going to play a game on Saturday. You have to have Sunday off to recoup and get yourself back. You get Monday and Tuesday to practice, and you're back out there playing on Wednesday, is what this schedule looks like. So that's the issue that I have with it. I can deal with the streaming. I can deal with the I'm already have Netflix, so I don't have to pay the $6.99 a month. Whatever. I can deal with that. I can deal with the Wednesday Christmas Day game because it's Christmas Day, and I'm not going to be doing anything that day anyway, hopefully. So I'll be free. I'll be able to watch the game, and we can all partake. Hopefully they play a little bit better on Christmas Day than they did last Christmas against the Raiders, but I think that was actually on Christmas Eve. But either way, the thing about it for me is like you preach safety and you preach that these bodies need to heal. They need to be healthy. Now you're going to go late in the season, and if the Chiefs have any guys nicked up, there's no reason that they should play on Christmas Day if they have anything close to wrapped up. And even if they don't, it's like you're going to play on Saturday. You're going to get 2 practice days, and you're going to go play on Wednesday again because you're not going to practice on Sunday after you played a game on Saturday. It's just not going to happen. And so that's probably the biggest issue I have if the Chiefs do indeed play on December 21st, and they're not going to have a bye week that late. So they're playing December 21st or 22nd, and if the NFL is not stupid, they're going to move that to Saturday. At least give the Chiefs one more extra day of rest, because if you play on Sunday, you get Tuesday, and you're playing Wednesday. And so that's the thing that I don't like about this. There's going to be a lot of complaints that you'll see on social media and everywhere about the game being on Netflix and the game being on a Wednesday. As I said, with just this one person commenting about it, that's not the issue here. The issue is the minimal rest that the Chiefs are going to get between their week 16 and 17 games. And that is what is ridiculous to me. And the players can't like it either. I know they don't. They're talking about I think the players would like to have 2 bye weeks already now that we're playing 17 games instead of 16. They don't have that. Now, if you get to an 18-game season, you better have 2 byes for these teams. And that's what they're talking about, possibly doing an 18-game season. So, again, I'm cool with the whole Netflix, and because that's where we're going. Streaming is taking over, as we've documented multiple times, and I'm cool with the Wednesday Christmas Day thing because I can't do anything about that. But it is ridiculous that 2 teams are going to play, or 4 teams probably are going to have to play a game on Saturday and then turn around and play again on Christmas Day, Wednesday. That's my spiel. The Chiefs likely, again, this is not 100% confirmed, but it's from sources that the Chiefs will be at the Steelers on Christmas Day, a Wednesday, on Netflix on December 25th. Take that for what you want to take it for. Get Netflix if you want it. If you don't, it's not going to change anything, though. Streaming is here to stay. Not only in the NFL, but on every platform and in every realm. Streaming is here to stay. Thanks for tuning in today on the Sports Ticket. Have a great day, everybody.
State, regional, and national sports talk on your schedule. The Sports Ticket Podcast. Subscribe via Apple, Google, and TuneIn Podcasts or sunflowerstateradio.com.